Today we're going to be breaking down CeeDee Lamb's best route running from the 2023 NFL season. So we're going to be looking at this post route here first, and he's going to be using a move called a triple rocker step. So we're going to explain what that exactly means, why he uses this move, and how he uses this to build into other routes. So something all great route runners are able to do, you guys, is make their routes look like other routes. I call that pairing moves together or pairing releases together if it were to be like a press coverage situation. So he's going to be running this post route. He's obviously in the red zone, and he has a DB who's lined up maybe about, I would say, like 5 yards away, and he's going to be in this like kind of backpedal situation. So this would be like off man coverage, but he's right in front of his face, right? So now how you would run an out route versus this look is you would attack this DB and you would give him some type of fake move to the inside. So he would do a regular rocker step. So he would burst up. Let's just pretend this is an out route right here. And he would just step with this foot, inside foot, or outside foot, excuse me, fake to the inside, and then break on the out route. And so DBs are smart. Usually they look for that type of move. They are taught, okay, whenever a wide receiver, if he likes to use this rocker step cut, because that comes from film study. Obviously, DBs always look for that. As a wide receiver, we watch a ton of film. We're looking at DB techniques, DB tendencies, what coverage does the defense like to run. DBs look for the same stuff as wide receivers. What moves do they like to use? How do they like to run their routes? But if we could be unpredictable and we could do multiple things off of these moves, then it's very tough for a DB to get a read on us. So he might see that, and CeeDee Lamb does run his out routes like this, where he does just like a simple 1-2. So that DB might think, okay, every time he runs an out route and he does that 1-2 step, I'm going to sit in the direction of his first step. Right? So now that we have to run a post route, maybe instead of me just giving an inside fake, then an outside fake, and have that DB anticipate what I'm doing, I make it look like my out route. I hit him with just a simple 1-2-3 and get that DB to jump because he's not expecting me to do 3 moves. He's only expecting me to do 2 moves, and then that gets me more separation and plenty of space to the inside to work my post route. So that's a textbook example of a triple rocker step there from CeeDee Lamb, and that's the thought process behind it. Guys, we could run this post route 3 separate ways. We could break just off of the left foot. We could hit a left and then a right, and then we could go left, right, and then left with that triple step. So all great receivers, guys, can make their moves look like other routes and compare certain things together. All right, so now this next example from CeeDee Lamb is he's going to be running something called a post-out route. Some people call this a blaze out. Some people call this like a martini route, I've heard, because it looks like a martini glass. But this is a double move route, and I want to talk about how well CeeDee Lamb is able to sell the first move of this double move. But before we get into this, you guys, if you're a quarterback or a wide receiver and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this offseason, we are going to be traveling out to 15 different cities across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So guys, check out that very first link in the description below if you'd like some more information on the cities we're going to, the locations for each city, and how you can ultimately sign up. We released this schedule to everybody this past Monday, and guys, all these camps will be sold out within the next 2 to 3 months. So make sure you take advantage of this, guys, if you were planning on attending. We are going to be coming out to San Francisco, Orlando, Phoenix, Charlotte, Austin, Las Vegas, Seattle, Chicago, Newark, Birmingham, Houston, Boston, Columbus, Boise, and Los Angeles. So guys, very first link in that description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our off-season training camps. Let's get back to this video. So like we were talking about, he's going to be running this post-out route or a blaze out, right? So anytime, the reason why they call it a blaze out, you guys, is like blazing the out is where you take 3 steps. So if you ever hear that term, like he breaks to the post, he takes 3 steps on the post, 1, 2, 3, and on the 3rd step, he drops his hips. So that's the first step, second step, 3rd step. So he takes 3 steps to get out of this out route break to get back to that 90-degree angle. It's not a post corner. It's very hard to run a blaze out where you only take 1 step and get back to the out. Usually a post corner is ran off of 1 step, but to get to that 90-degree angle off of selling the post, generally we have to drop my hips and take that drop step, pivot step, hook step, right? And by drop step, pivot step, hook step, I mean this is the drop step. He pivots his 2nd step, and then the 3rd step hooks around so he could drive and get back 90 degrees. But now we're talking about selling the double move, right? And guys, this could apply to any wide receiver who's listening to this at any level when you have to run a double move. I'm talking a slant and go. I'm talking post corner. I'm talking a corner post, whatever it is. But to your first move, it's obvious. We have to make it look exactly the same. So when we break to the post, guys, a lot of wide receivers, when they're selling a double move, they break to the post and they don't gain any ground with their strides. They take very choppy strides because they are anticipating going back to the out route because we know it's a double move pre-snap, obviously. So when we break to that post, we got to make sure that we are pushing off of this cut leg. I'm taking long strides. I'm pumping my arms because that's what's going to get that DB to crash down. They look for a change in stride, and they also look for a change in speed. Because again, when you break to the post, obviously we don't need to be like running as hard as I possibly can where I'm almost out of control. You want to run hard. You don't want to run slow, but you have to be under control, but it's got to be the same frequency. When you break to the post, it's got to be the exact same speed that you had into the post. It's got to be the exact same stride that you had into the post, because nobody runs an actual post route by slowing down and taking choppy steps. And last but not least, what sells it, and you see what this DB's looking at, is our body language. Our hips and shoulders got to be committed to the post. I can't tell you how many times I'll see receivers run a double move route. They break to the first move, and their hips and their shoulders are cheating out of the break. And if a DB sees that and he reads that and it doesn't look like you're actually committed, he's not going to bite on that post, or at least he's going to stay really, really patient. So guys, when you're selling a double move, this is a perfect example of that from CeeDee Lamb right here. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job attacking the DB, keeping the same stride, keeping the same speed, and that body language commits on the first move. So now this next route here, you guys, is a route that I've seen CeeDee Lamb probably run like 3 or 4 different times. Throughout this, like, kind of, I guess you could say, like, highlight reel that I saw of his route running in 2023, and this is something called a return route. So a return route is something that you may not be super familiar with, so that's why I want to go over it, and he runs this thing very, very well. But I'm sure a lot of you have seen, like, a whip route or a pivot route before, right? Where you burst up, you break to the slant, and then that DB crashes, then you put the brakes on, and then you whip to the sideline, or you go back out to the sideline. Now, you don't necessarily turn your back like a blaze out, right? You see how on the blaze out, he obviously turned his back where he broke to the post, and then he went back to the sideline and he turned himself, lost sight of the quarterback. On a whip route, when you break to the slant, you never want to lose sight of the quarterback. You want to keep your hips facing the line of scrimmage. Now, a return route is the opposite. You were breaking to the out route, trying to get this DB to crash, and then return back to the inside. And you keep your hips and your shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. So you see how he breaks to the outside, whips back to the inside, and then he's able to win on this return route and get back up vertical. So guys, that's the key right there. You have to make sure that we make it look exactly like an out route. Same thing as that post out that we were discussing. He breaks to the out. You see how his hips and his shoulders are committed. He has that change in speed for a good, like for good. He has that. He goes into the brakes kind of slow pace, and then he accelerates to the outside because that's what can get that DB to crash. Remember, if he sees us accelerate, he sees us running hard on the first initial move, that's what can get him to bite. We could put the brakes on and then be able to win. Now, I know it's zone coverage, and he's probably running with something to the outside, but still, that initial route is what got him to crash down because his eyes are ultimately on us. So that is a return route, you guys. If you're not familiar with it, just know the difference. A whip route is inside, then back out. A return route is outside, then back in. So now this next example here from CeeDee Lamb, we're going to be talking about being able to react. I think something that a lot of not a lot of, like, you hear all the people breaking down, like, routes on, on TV, NFL game, whatever. And something that I think a lot of these people fail to mention is, like, the reaction element of the wide receiver position. Because they talk about, like, oh, what a great move, what a great route. But, like, wide receivers have a plan when they come up to the line of scrimmage. And sometimes a DB might change up what he's doing. He might disguise something pre-snap. Or pre-snap, he might be showing something, then disguise what he's actually doing. And then post-snap, he does a totally different coverage. So great receivers are able to react and are able to react on the fly and play fast while they react. And this is a great example of that from CeeDee Lamb. So he's going to be running a post route here, and it's going to be at about like a 10-yard break, and he has inside shade press. So ideally, what we would want to do when we have inside shade press to run a post, like if we had a DB who was right in front of my face, like head up, I'd give him a move outside and I'd take the inside release. We always want to take an inside release on an inside breaking route if the coverage allows me to. But if a DB is lined up inside shade press and he doesn't want me to run to the inside, he's going to take away the inside release. So as soon as I try to go inside, he's going to wall me off. He's going to move inside, get hands, and my post is going to end up way across the field. He is taught to not give that up. But sometimes DBs may just not play good coverage or may not try to take it away. And so what CeeDee Lamb does is he starts to attack him, and then he just takes it, right? And he takes it because the DB gave it to him. That's what you guys have to understand. So let's talk about it, right? So ideally, we would want to attack him. That DB jumps super hard to the inside. We put the brakes on, take the outside release, and my goal is to stack him over the top and then run my post. But if he just sits there, if I attack him and he just sits there and gives me the inside, I'm just going to take it. And when I take it, I'm going to get as skinny as I possibly can. That means running as tight to the DB, squeezing past him. Because if I just take it and then I run way to the inside, chances are if he's giving up the inside, he probably has some type of help inside. So we want to get skinny. We want to get back over the top of him so when I make that break, I could actually separate from him. Even if he's right on my hip at the break point. Like, let's say I'm running right here, right next to him. I could almost lean into him, then cut off. Or maybe I stack him and he's trailing behind me. I give him a move, and then I cut off. So, guys, you have to be able to understand that taking what the DB gives you sometimes is also a reaction. Don't just have a plan off the line of scrimmage. If the DB changes it, we're doomed and we're screwed. Be able to react, and I think that's a great mark of a great route runner.